Well, welcome in Jazzmeeting, Tom Braxton.
Thank you for having me, Cynthia.
Yes, you are here in Holland now. It's raining cats and dogs, and you came from the Algarve, from Portugal.
That's
So
right.
it's totally another experience, of course.
It was sunny and hot, and
Yeah.
the beaches and everything. People were wonderful, but it's wonderful here too, even with the rain. It's
And
beautiful.
It has been years,
Too long.
too long. Well, finally, this week you are here in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to Gorderdijk, Eibergen, Leeuwarden, and tonight in Emmen, and tomorrow in Hengelo, the Cactus.
I'm so glad you pronounced those because I would have not been able to say those correctly. So yes.
How long has it been, this musical adventure? When did it start, and when did you fell in love with your instrument?
Well, I was very fortunate that my father, who's still living,
Yes,
at 98,
Wow.
exposed me to music at a very young age. He was a fan of big band music,
Yeah.
and grew up during the Route 66 days when big bands were coming through Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So I grew up with the likes of Miles Davis and with Count Basie and Duke Ellington and Chick Webb and Ella Fitzgerald and so Ben Webster, Coleman Hawkins, Lester Young. I could go on and on. He would always be playing those around the house. And so my sister started playing the piano. And when I was about 10, I wanted to play the piano because she was playing the piano. And then soon after that, my father brought home an alto saxophone. And I just took to it. And at that point, I didn't really know I was going to be a professional musician. I was not sure. Because I had a lot of interest. I liked science, I liked medicine, I was just into a lot of things. But music just came to the forefront as I got toward the end of high school and majored in music and been playing ever since. So
it's the first love, the great love, of course. And but who believed in you, and who believed you still?
Well, that's where I really appreciate my parents because just like you all, you have a son who is an artist. They supported me from the very beginning because it's a difficult business.
Yes, very
and
different.
they were like, hey, if that's what you want to do, you go for it. And they believed in me, and my father and mother were right there with me all the way through. And then my wife is very supportive as well because she's been with me. We've been married 27 years. And, careers go like this. Yeah. And she's been a champion of mine and a supporter of mine from the time we met.
You need that.
Yes, you
because
do.
I think that's very important that you can go home because you're always on the road. And that's very nice, and you meet people, play with people, and make people happy, of course, with your music. That's one of your mission, I think.
Totally.
And
one of the great things is she gets to come with me sometimes because she went to Portugal with me. Yeah, we had a great time.
Yes. And that you can come home because that's very important. You can play music, you have talent and a lot and on. And but it's important to have a home.
Agreed.
Yes.
Totally concur with that.
Okay. So, and we talk about the people who believed in you. So you mentioned your parents and your wife, and they still believe in you. Yes.
And then we've had just friends along the way. Wayman Tisdale, who's one of the first artists I worked with, was just so supportive of me, helped me in the early. He was the first artist I toured with, and he helped me produce some of my first CDs, and was just a real pushed me forward, supported me as an artist, even though I was in his band. And then I've had other industry people along the way that helped me, but he was the first person that really come on, we can do this. In this last project I did, the next chapter, Ricky Lawson, actually, the famous, world famous drummer who we recently lost, he helped me with that project. Almost every place along the way I've had somebody come in and go, let me help you do that. And we need that.
Yes,
it's hard to do it by yourself.
Yes. They are angels on our way.
Agreed.
Yes. Who were your jazz heroes?
That is a great question. And I usually divide those into two categories. I like the jazz heroes from the past that we wouldn't be able to play this music if it weren't for Cannonball Adderley and Train and Charlie Parker, Sonny Stitt. Cannonball may be one of my favorites, Cannonball and Coltrane from the past. Today's era, I have heroes of David Sanborn, Kirk Whalum is one of my favorites. There's so many great sax players out there right now. I think Chris Potter is amazing. He's taken up the torch, I believe, from Michael Brecker, who we lost way too soon. Grover Washington was a big influence on me. Growing up in West Texas, I didn't get to see a lot of musicians live, but I used to play their records a lot. Grover and Ronnie Laws and the Crusaders, Wilton Felder. They all had a hand in helping me develop and learn.
Yeah. And the young generation, can you mention some names that you say, they remind me to my older jazz heroes?
Yeah, there's some young talent out there. I haven't had enough time to do a lot of research into a lot of the young guys coming up, but every once in a while I will. Kirk will mention someone like a Tia Fuller or someone like that that's just playing the keys off the instrument, and there's always great players coming up, which is good. Yeah. That's what we want. And they're out there. I'm guilty of not knowing everybody new that's coming up because I've just been working on what I'm doing.
Very busy. Yes, and of course of making your own CDs.
But one guy I know who's a monster is the young guy with Marcus Miller. Ham, is that his last name? He's really good.
Alex Ham.
Yes, Alex. Yeah, Ham. Yeah. And he's excellent, and there are others that are like him that are excellent. So it's good to hear.
Okay. What would you like to say to the young generation, young musicians, because it's another time and another period, another world for them. It's different from where you came from. What would you like to give? What would you like to give them as an anchor?
Wow, you got great questions today. I would say be encouraged, because the business can be challenging, and I say the business because when I was growing up and coming through school, it was all about the music, which is very important. But it is important that you understand the business of music and work both of them together to be successful. Yeah. Being a great, to me, there's several prongs to it. One, study the craft. Know the people that played the music before you. Be very good at what you do, because that's what you have to do to be successful out there. Then understand the business. How does this work? How do I make a living at this? Because you can be this great musician and not able to pay your bills. So know how the business works. And then the third thing I would suggest is make relationships. You need connections with people. I was telling the students at the clinic on Wednesday, almost everything I've done is based on a relationship with somebody. I haven't gotten a lot of opportunities just somebody just called me out of the blue. This person knew that person knew that person knew that person, and somebody asked me to do something. So I would say work on what you do, be very good at it, be disciplined about it, know the business, make great relationships, and then as soon as possible, be extremely professional. Be on time, be punctual, be very prepared, because you may only get one chance to do something right. And all of those things come together, and it'll happen. It may not be overnight, and everybody has their own path.
Yeah.
Mine was not overnight. I'm still working at it.
Yes, and then you can grow. And but what means success to you? Because you said successful. What does it mean in your words, in your experience?
That is another great question, because we sometimes get caught up in comparing ourselves to other people. You know, this person's success, I'm not doing what they're doing, and everyone has their own. Kirk Whalum and I were recently talking about that. You have your own lanes, and success is different things to different people. There are some things that I still want to achieve moving forward, but I feel grateful that success to me is that I'm able to take the music that God's given me and communicate it to audiences and make a living at it.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that don't like their jobs. And I feel grateful that I love what I do, and I've been successful at it for many years. Because I'm not 25, Cynthia, in case you didn't know.
Well, you must love it.
I do.
Yes.
I really do. You know, there are times when it's a job. It's difficult, just like anything else. There are very, very, very early lobby calls. You know, jumping on planes early, long days of travel, long rehearsals, different things. But overall, I have no complaints. Very thankful.
About your CDs. So your latest CD.
Well, we have 9 altogether. My last solo project is entitled The Next Chapter. And I was able to work with Earl Clue, who I've been touring with the last 4 years. He performed on 2 songs. Bob James, I got him on 1 song. And Peter White
on guitar.
On guitar. And Ricky Lawson played drums on and produced on several of the tracks. And that was an amazing opportunity that just a door opened actually right before he passed away, that I was able to go out to LA and he recorded with me. So that's The Next Chapter. And then last year, as I was telling you earlier, Robert Sine, a trumpet player, and I did a project together. He did the writing, I played on it, co-produced with him. And it was really, really just fun to do something with somebody else, especially trumpet. Sax and trumpet have been playing together for years. And we had a great time. And that's called The Other Side. So those are the last 2 projects.
Next Chapter, that's the title. I think there's a story behind it.
There is. You know, I was looking for what was next for me. There are times in life when you need to turn the page. My mother had recently passed away, and I was talking about, okay, in my career, what's the next move? What am I going to do next? So The Next Chapter is in there, and there's some liner notes that talk more about that in depth. And then The Other Side, there was a title of that. This was something different than what I did with my own project. So those are the last 2.
So you have a lot of ideas. Is this a dream come true?
It is. Sometimes I still pinch myself, and when I'm standing on stage in Tokyo with Earl Klugh, or I'm in Africa, or I'm here with you, and I'm going, this is a guy from Lubbock, Texas. I grew up. That is not a jazzy place at all. And I'm playing in Holland. I'm playing in Portugal. I'm playing with. I'm standing.
Cruises.
Yes, I'm standing on stage with Peter White and Rick Braun and Earl Klugh and Bob James, and I played in Ghana, Africa last year. I'm going back to Ghana in November.
Okay.
So yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, it's amazing. But you are going tonight. We are going to Weijterveen. We are playing on my song, Smiling Faces. So I'm very happy. And then we go to Emmen.
Correct.
It's very nice. I want to talk about 100,000 things about your life, your adventure, of course, and your mission, and the person who is on this planet, and the connections you have, and and what makes you so happy and so lucky, because that's very important too, and you can be the sunshine to the whole world.
Well, thank you. I'm very appreciative, very thankful. My joy, joy comes from the inside, because your circumstances, you can be happy about things, but those things can change quickly.
Yeah.
And my joy comes from the inside. Mine, because of my faith in Jesus. That's where he's the person that I draw from. And he, to me, decided my gifts and talents. And so he has allowed me to do what I do. And so with that in mind, music to me is more than a job. It is as you said, it's a mission.
Yeah.
So I love to go out, play for people. You and I talked about, you never know when people come to a concert what they're dealing with. Yeah. And if music can lift that burden for a minute, and you do the same thing, your music is very encouraging. When you put it on, it's just like, start smiling. And that's what I want. People often tell me, you look like you're having a great time up there. And I am. Because I love music. I love what I do. And this is my biggest goal, and we'll see tonight, is I want to communicate something to you. I want you to, when you leave, you've learned a little something about me. Because I've communicated something from here to you. Yeah. That's what I love to do. It doesn't have to be the most complicated thing. It doesn't have to be the most... There are millions of great saxophone players. And my father taught me, he said, there'll always be people that are better than you and worse than you. You have to do what you do. Yes. So I try to do what I do. Yeah. And I grab the audience like this and I say, come on, let's go on this musical journey. Yeah. And we're going to have a good time. And then hopefully they are uplifted and they can go back to what they were doing until we get together the next time. And did I answer your question? I get excited and I'll talk about a lot of things, but that's how I feel about it.
Yes, and one smile fits all.
Smiling
it's
faces.
Not smiling faces. It's from heart to heart. I think when you're on stage and I get this feeling, wow, I have a good time and I can move on and have that. I can hear it in my head. I can feel it in my heart, and then it's wonderful.
What I tell people is my opinion. You play who you are. Yeah. You sing who you are. Yeah. If you're like you are, a person, then when you open your mouth to sing, that's what's going to come out. If you're a dark kind of brooding person, that can come out too. Absolutely. And we all have moods. Yes. We're not always, I'm not always, that's life,
That's life. We must grow, so we have all kind of things on our path or to learn from. And
but those produce music as well.
Yes.
You know, some of the great pieces of music, Mozart wrote a beautiful requiem, you know, and there are people that have written pieces of music in dark times of their lives that are absolutely gorgeous, you know, out of loss.
Yes, and they can help other people.
Sure.
Because they experience the pain or the beautiful life of love or whatever.
Well, you're absolutely right. Not to interrupt you, but this is a quick story because I know I don't want to go too long, but Wayman Tisdale, if your audience doesn't know, passed away from cancer, and he was only 44. During those last shows, he used to sing a song called "It's All Right, It's Okay," and here he was struggling with this disease, but his he was such an inspiration to the audience, and people would come up by the droves and go, boy, that song meant a lot to me because I have been in this struggle, or I'm in this struggle, or I lost somebody to that disease. And that's one of the last things I told him. I said, I want you to know you have inspired me and everyone else around you. So that was coming out of a tough time, but he still was able to share and inspire. So,
well, thank you, Tom Braxton, for being you and for telling and sharing the stories. There will be another interview next time.
I'm coming back.
I want to know more and more and more about.
Well, I promise it will not be this long before I come back.
Yes.
We're already talking about 2018. Cynthia and I are already talking about coming back. So. And I'm looking forward to recording tonight on your music.
Yes. Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your stories, your musical adventure about your life. Wish you a lot of luck, love, happiness, and of course good health. Thank you, Tom Braxton.
Thank you, Cynthia.